Okay, so welcome back to Stu Structures. We're back into the building of prototypical buildings again with this series. We're going to get started on the Beanery, so stay tuned. Okay, I've been looking forward to this build for a while. I don't know that anybody's ever modeled this building. At least there probably has been somebody, but I've never seen it modeled. This structure we're getting ready to start was built in the early 1850s, before the Civil War. This was the original hotel in the city of Grafton in West Virginia on the B&O Railroad. It was in the convergence of two different lines. There was a line coming up from southern West Virginia in the coal fields up into this area, and there was also a line coming from the west, from Cincinnati, across the Ohio River at Parkersburg and into Grafton, and a northern route that went up through Fairmont to Wheeling and Chicago, on places on into that part of the country. And they all converged here in Grafton, and they went east towards Cumberland from here. So Grafton was a really large facility, and the hotel, it was a large hotel, quite involved build. I'm looking forward to it, so let's get into more of what's going on with that.
The earliest shot that I found of this building, this is early in the 1950s. This was prior Civil War. You can see with the next shot that some of these buildings have changed. The front here was a single-story small vestibule, which in this next shot has been turned into a two-story quite long extension onto it. This here was in 57, just a few years before the Civil War. You can see additional building was added to the far end of it, but was two-story at that time. These next shots are mostly from around 1927 during the valuation period of the railroads. They took a lot of different pictures from all the buildings to evaluate for the federal government. Here you can see that last building that was added onto the back end of it, which now is 3 stories. There is a short building in between the two main parts of the hotel that you can see here. But this time it's lost all of its shutters. The front doors in the very long end that was added on were turned into windows instead of doors. The rest of it, you can see it's all brick. Here's an early shot. When you're looking for pictures for your buildings, look for different angles and long distance views. These middle buildings here have roofs that come down together in the center, and I'd never found a good shot of these to really go by to build the roof line. And this shot here, which is an odd shot and it doesn't show much of the building, it does show a chimney and a flagpole on the tallest 3-story single area out front of the building. This is just a shot of the Cincinnati, and you can see in between the 2 3-story hotel buildings in the back they've added a bridge, and this bridge comes across from town to the side that you don't see, and then crosses out this side and goes across to the roof of the roundhouse. And then people from town could walk across the roof of the roundhouse, and down the back side across along a footpath along another railroad bridge into the south part of town. Here's just a shot from the Taggart Valley River looking back across at that hotel. You can see in the background but more of that bridge, and you can see it kind of off to the left hand side as well where it crosses on over into town. So interesting. So the first thing you need to do when you're looking at building a prototypical building, one is your time frame that you're wanting to model, or the era that you're wanting to model. As you can see, this building went through changes down through time. The latest pictures are pretty similar to what it looked like during the time period that we model. This long extended end coming off of it, and the hotel clear in the far end, the addition that had been put on had been changed to 3 stories. You can see the wood cornices. You can see all the windows are double windows, double hung panes. the doors. So we need to start looking for sources for windows and doors. So you got to count the windows and doors, look at the cornices and what type of woodwork is under the roof supporting the roof overhangs. The different chimneys, what kind of chimneys it would need, the doors. There's several different types of doors on this building. So what I want everybody to do is to pick a building that you're wanting to build for your railroad that's prototypical. When we get back together in the next segment of this build, we'll go over what I went through to scale this building and how I got it together. There are no blueprints existing for this building. So we'll go over the processes that I came up with for how to design the building and the build the way I want to put it together to duplicate this building. So between now and the next video that I post, come up with a building that you want to build for your railroad, and then you can follow along with these processes as I go through this build and hopefully build a building of your own to use on your railroad in your home. We can get together in the chat down in the bottom. You can ask questions and I'll try to help you where I can. Go through some sources and various ways to find things and how to do things and build things, and we'll put us together a nice building. I just want to stress that as you're going looking for pictures of stuff, don't overlook anything. Even the smallest detail in the background mean a lot sometimes. If you look in the very background of this photograph, you see the Beanery and the bridge going in the side of it. It's a little smoky from all the steam from the cranes that are working here, but I mean, here it is in the extreme background, but you can blow this up and get a lot of good detail because this is real photography, not digital photography, so it doesn't pixelate from the original negatives if you work with it as bad as if it was a digital image to begin with. Here's another shot from across the river that shows the walkway coming out of that side of the hotel across the roof of the turntable. Here's a shot of it from town that shows the very back side of that last three-story building really well, and roof detail on that building. Same angle a little further up in town, but it gives you a good perspective of where it was and how it sat down in between all the buildings and the railroad. Here's a shot with it even after it was gone, but the bridge remained there for a long time, so you can get some detail and ideas of the bridge from there. Old postcards are a very good source. I mean, this is just a colorized old postcard, but it kind of gives you some basic information. Here's another shot of the back of it from across a railroad bridge that gives you a little bit of detail on the building if you blow it up. And then all the detail shots. This doesn't show so much of that building, but it shows you the walkway that would have went up across the top of the roundhouse and into it. Here's another shot closer to that same stairwell going up to that level from the railroad bridge that the pedestrians walked on. It's a shot of the walkway going across the top of the back of the roundhouse over to the bridge that crosses that railroad. Another kind of color shot from a little later period in time, but all these things are details that you need to connect this building with the surrounding buildings. Just all these have little tiny shots and glimpses of it here and there in the background, and you can learn from all of these by blowing them up. So don't miss out on any of this kind of stuff. I mean, here's one that you can barely see the building, but you do get details of the footbridge that was overhead that is better details for the bridge than anything else. Old maps. This is from the Sanborn maps, which actually on this building gives me a good perspective of the footprint, and I can figure out some size. Okay, so what I would like to try with this series of videos in building the Beanery here is that I would like for everybody there at home to find a building that you want to build for your model railroad. Something that doesn't exist in kit form, something that maybe you have issues and not sure how to proceed with maybe. Before I get the next video together, your assignment would be to go out and collect as many pictures and other information on this building as you possibly can. find out about how it existed during the time period that you're wanting to model. Era has a whole lot to do. You can see the building that I just showed you did change over time, so you have to really know when you're modeling to get what aspects of that building right. But each video I do will go one more step through the process of building a prototypical building. So in the next session that we do, what I would like to do is for everybody to have all that information in front of you, and I'll go through all of my information and show you how I went about using all that information to come up with the ideas, the sizes, everything that I need to know how to build that building. How to gather the materials, what materials I need, what size each wall is going to be. The building I'm building no longer exists, and there are no blueprints of this building as far as I know, so there's some extra steps that I have to go through to do this that hopefully maybe you won't on a building you're wanting to do for yourself. But it's not hard, it's involved. I enjoy the research and coming up with all these old pictures as much as I do the building of the building. Actually, I have become a historian doing all this kind of thing. And it took me years to get some of this stuff that I'm doing for some of these buildings. But anyway, universities, your state university has a lot of good information. The historical societies, the B&O Historical Society has been a godsend for me with everything that I've been able to find through them. I worked in their archives for 3.5 years, 1 month out of each weekend, and gained a ton of stuff. But a lot of my stuff is coming from other sources. Like I said, the state universities, local colleges, historians in your local area, or people that worked in those buildings a lot of times have pictures of those buildings. Like I said, if you're wanting to follow along with this, you can just watch, or you can build a building for yourself through this whole process. So your assignment until the next show would be to go out and gather as much information on the building you want to build as you can get your hands on. In the next session, we'll go through what I said and just look at how to go through all that information and get all your stuff together to be able to proceed with building that building. I don't know, this is going to be a long process. I've never tried anything like this. We've talked to some people about maybe doing a live stream during one of these parts of this session and building of the Beanery. Maybe that would help people more and be able to communicate quicker back and forth. But you can put questions or anything in the comments below. I do answer all those when anybody puts a comment down there, and I'll get back to you. Besides all that, that's all I can think of off the top of my head. Have fun out there looking for all this information. There's a lot of it out there. Until next time, I thank you for coming and watching my videos. Subscribe down below and hit the bell, and you'll be notified when the next one comes out. Like and share. A lot of people out there in the hobby don't know this stuff exists out here. There's just tons of good information on all these YouTube channels. I've learned a whole lot by watching other people out here. Some things work for me, some don't. You just have to take all that information in and decipher what works for you. So in any case, until the next time, this is your favorite Pharaoh equestrianologist saying happy model railroading.